Welcome along today, guys. I have the pleasure of sitting down with you fine folk. Philip Yates, the founder of Genetic Technologies, Will Yates, the now Managing Director of Genetic Technologies, and Raewyn Densley, one of the early employments, and we'll get into some of the uniqueness around how that came about. I can't wait to just sit back and listen as you talk about how the company has got to where it is today. I recall you telling me that whilst you were leading the Yates family seed business, you saw an article on hybrid wheat.
Yates was in the seed business, but it was a lot of other things. We'd made a few acquisitions. We were selling everything from Nissan cars to a wide range of
Diversification.
things. Yes. We'd grown from 150 staff when I joined it. When I left it, we had 2,000 staff. So it was a significant company.
And so if we start to wander a bit further forward, in 1985, Equity Corp came and took control of the company via a share market raid. And you were in your early 50s and found yourself dismissed from the Yates family business.
Yep.
How did that make you feel?
A tremendous blow, because I'd been brought up to believe that the family company was part of the family heritage. In those days, the then current government had the marginal income tax was 66%. Well, on the salary we were at, and 66% income tax, you couldn't accumulate any capital. I had a young family, had to be supported. So there I was with no job and no money and no prospects. I was actually 57.
How did you set up a new company in that journey?
With great difficulty. I had no money, no office. I had my own car, that's all I had. And I sat in this room on the first day and I was on my own. I thought, goodness, what am I going to do? It's a very lonely feeling when you're sitting down in the basement of your house, no money and no prospects and no products. What do you do?
So Philip, how did you get the Pioneer brand back?
I'd solicited the Pioneer brand and successfully got it started. By then, I'd made it my business to get to know particularly the top people at Pioneer. And when I was fired from Yates, it didn't take them long to say, we don't want to deal with Yates anymore. They're not the Yates company. We're dealing with a foreign entity. The chairman phoned me and he said, would you be interested in doing it yourself? Well, I said, let me think it over. Of course, I'd already decided that in a nanosecond that was the right thing. Yeah. I didn't want to say then and there. I phoned him back the next morning and said, Tom, it's a great offer. I'm privileged to do it. I will do it. Thank you very much. And that's how it started.
And some long-standing relationships over there, Will, and you've been part of that with the seed growers there and also our own seed production facility team. How have those relationships developed over the years and how have they been a strength to the business?
Our seed growers are obviously a critical part of the business. We've partnered with a number of seed growers over in the Gisborne area for decades, ever since the plant was first built. And growing and producing high quality hybrid seed is very much a specialist farming activity, and so we've worked and partnered with those growers through the years to improve the yield and the quality and the efficiency of how we go about growing the seed crops out in the field, harvesting it safely and getting it into the plant and treating it with the requisite care right through the whole process, end up with the high quality seed that we put in the bag and deliver to farmers today.
We've been really fortunate too with the crew in Gisborne, permanent staff right the way through to a whole heap of casuals that have played a really important role.
Our seed production team in Gisborne again are really the engine room of the business. Many of those that are still with us today have been there from the outset. So there's a huge amount of knowledge and experience and passion and commitment within the crew down there. As a business, we're blessed and very well served with the calibre and capability of the people we've got.
Philip, just when Yates first started representing Pioneer in New Zealand and then Genetic Technologies subsequently, it was a relatively small grain market. What made growers change from the existing brand to Pioneer?
Seed quality in those early years was pretty indifferent. We had a few setbacks, of course, in the early days of production ourselves, but I quickly realised that seed quality, physical seed quality, apart from genetic seed quality, was critical. We spent a lot of time with the production agronomists from Pioneer and other specialists finding out how to produce the best seed and to do it consistently.
From the grain market and moving to the silage market, what prompted your decision to employ Raewyn?
that wasn't a difficult decision. I said to Pioneer, what else can we do to make the business grow? And I can remember Tom Urban saying to me, well, our business in some countries, particularly in Western Europe, is not so much grain, it's silage. I pricked up on that, and that's where it went from there.
And so, Ray, what did the dairy industry look like at that stage?
It was predominantly pasture-based, and dairy farmers, if they ran short of feed because the grass didn't grow, they were faced with either buying dairy meal, which, relatively speaking, was actually quite expensive even back then, or starving or underfeeding their cows. There'd been some big advancements in terms of pasture species and the work Arnold Bryant had done on rotational grazing, but they'd kind of reached really a feed barrier. The dairy farmers actually were eating as much feed as what they were growing, stocking rates were increasing. We were seeing quite a bit of conversion of sheep and beef cattle to dairy land, and so it was very much a growth industry. When I started in 1991, the leading farmers were feeding maize silage, but there were also a whole heap of people that were predominantly pasture-based, and I think the dairy industry influencers at that time kind of felt that any deviation from a pasture-only system was kind of a handcart to hell, really. They just felt that it was going to erode profitability, and it was challenging in those early years. It was a little like, kind of pushing water uphill with a broom until the very top farmers started to share their profitability figures.
What are some of the key focuses for the company now, Will?
Look, I think some things haven't changed. Ensuring that we're always producing and delivering to farmers the highest quality seed has always been a focus, and that will always be the case. I think increasingly the opportunity for us as a business and for the industry and farmers in particular is to see maize as an increasingly valuable tool in mitigating some of the environmental effects of intensive farming. And some of the research we've been doing is shown that maize is a really important key tool to help soak up nutrient that's fallen below the rooting zone of shallower rooted pasture and forage species.
What do you see the future looking like for the business?
The big picture in agriculture is bright. Obviously the world's population is growing. In Australia and New Zealand we've got advanced farming systems, sophisticated farming processes and means of farming. We've got irrigation, we've got generally helpful climate for growing good crops. Obviously Australia and New Zealand produce and export much of what they grow as countries in agricultural industries. So the countries, the economies and the business have a very bright and positive future ahead.
Thank you very much to you all for sharing some special memories and the journey and the growth of not only the Yates family business but genetic technology. So thank you very much to you each for sharing your wonderful stories.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.